All right. Happy Thursday, everyone, and Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. This is my actual first broadcast of 2020. Welcome to the Plant-Based Loser platform. I'm streaming live on Facebook. So, hello, Facebook world. And I'm also streaming live simultaneously to YouTube. So, welcome, YouTube world, as well. Happy New Year! What's going on in your world? How's it going? How's the year starting off? Can you believe it? We're already 9 days in. It was just January the 1st, and it's already the 9th. Can you believe that? Time waits for no one, as they say, right? So all is well in my world. I'm just having fun. I'm excited about this new year and the new decade. And let me update you on what's going on with the Plant-Based Loser brand. And basically for 2020, there's a campaign focus on ending abdominal obesity and improving metabolic health in communities of color. And even though metabolic health is an American issue, members of the African American community, people of color, even Hispanic communities are being impacted by metabolic syndrome conditions heavily. So the campaign focus for 2020, as far as the Plant-Based Loser brand, is ending abdominal obesity in order to improve metabolic health in communities of color. And for those of you who have watched me over the past several months, you notice you hear a common theme in my talks, which is a discussion about the importance of weight loss, the importance of specifically reversing abdominal obesity, which is medically referred to as central obesity. And for those of you who may not know, abdominal or central obesity is a precursor condition, meaning it's the first condition that opens the way for other conditions, which are referred by medicine as metabolic syndrome conditions. Abdominal obesity is one of those conditions. Abnormal cholesterol is another one of those metabolic syndrome conditions. Elevated blood glucose because of insulin resistance is another one of those metabolic syndrome conditions. High triglyceride levels is another one of those metabolic syndrome conditions. Elevated blood pressure or high blood pressure is another one of those metabolic syndrome conditions. So what medical science has found out is that if you have excess abdominal belly fat, you are at risk for other conditions. And of course, in medicine, they say that if you have 3 of those conditions that I named, starting with abdominal obesity, if you have abnormal cholesterol in addition to excess abdominal belly fat, and if you have, say, for instance, elevated blood glucose levels or elevated blood pressure, if you have 3 out of the 5 conditions, you have what is medically called metabolic syndrome. So I don't believe it takes 3 conditions. I believe that if you have central obesity or abdominal obesity and one of those conditions, you've got metabolic syndrome, because excess abdominal belly fat is indicative of metabolic dysfunction, that there is your intracellular environment, your metabolic environment, specifically your mitochondria, is basically malfunctioning. There's intracellular malfunction, namely within the mitochondria, which is inside the cell, the source of human metabolism. So I wanted to open up by talking about the fact that in communities of color, according to the NIH, according to the CDC, communities of color are leading in that epidemic of obesity and overweight, even though it's an American problem. But communities of color, like African Americans and Hispanic members of the American population, have higher rates of obesity and overweight. So I'm doing something about that. For the past 21 years, if you're new to watching the PlantBased Loser platform, if you're new to me, just a quick backstory before I interview my guests. I'm waiting for Carlos to come on live. 21 years I've served in the wellness and fitness industry. Specifically, people know me as Charlotte's first plant-based and vegan personal trainer and nutrition performance coach. So I've been helping my customers for 21 years get a shot at metabolic health, get a shot at health success. And I've used personal training as a vehicle to do so. I've used a nutrient and fiber dense plant-based diet to help people have a shot at metabolic health. So just to give you a little backstory, and I've seen health transformations in my personal training programs. I've seen health transformations with people that I don't even train, people who even prior to the Plant-Based Loser Challenge coming about, and as well as people who are participating in the Plant-Based Loser Challenge since its inception back in March 2019. I've seen health transformations. I've seen people with abnormal cholesterol lower their cholesterol. I've seen people with hypertension normalize their blood pressure. I've seen people with type 2 diabetes no longer have type 2 diabetes, all because of the adoption of a nutrient and fiber dense plant-based eating style. So essentially, given all my background, the research I've done, the experiences I've had in working with people and understanding nutritional science at a deep level, it's so important for Americans in general, and especially people of color, to understand that food slavery is the real culprit. Food slavery is really what's responsible for the epidemics of obesity and overweight and other chronic diseases like heart disease being the #1 killer of all Americans, regardless of gender, regardless of race and ethnicity. Heart disease is still the #1 killer. And a lot of what the data is showing is type 2 diabetes is going to more than likely surpass heart disease. The incidences of heart disease will probably be surpassed by type 2 diabetes. So it's important for Americans in general and people of color to understand that if you want to achieve health success, which starts with metabolic health, you definitely need to understand the role of a nutrient and fiber dense plant-based diet. So tonight, for those of you, I'm not sure if you can see the topic of discussion. Well, one, I want to interview Carlos Weathers. He's about to start the Plant-Based Loser Challenge. I believe day one for him maybe tomorrow or by Saturday. And tonight's topic is a really, really powerful topic of discussion. You know, it's been revealed to me, and this is research and evidence-based, that metabolic health is biological wealth. And I'm going to say that again. Metabolic health is biological wealth. And if you look at America in general, we're in a nation that's abundant financially. We don't really lack in resources. We have some of the best medical care. We have some of the best institutions of higher learning. We have some of the best in many of the categories of human activity. However, from a biological vantage point, America is in a state of biological poverty. America is in a state of biological poverty. And what do I mean by that? Heart disease, we know, is preventable. We know that heart disease it's prevalent, but it's preventable. And modern medicine knows and understands that heart disease, like type 2 diabetes, like strokes, are all preventable, and they are diet-induced chronic illnesses. So what's the real problem? I mean, our bodies, our biology isn't intrinsically flawed. Our biology isn't intrinsically flawed, but why are we, as Americans, majority of the American population, on prescription drugs? There are more Americans on prescription drugs than not. There are more people in America on medication than people who are not on medication. Why is that? Well, we know why. It's no mystery. I refer to it as food slavery. Food slavery is widespread or mass food addiction. You see, our biologies are fine. In fact, on an intracellular level, we have unlimited biological wealth potential, metabolic health potential. It's there. It can be activated. We know, because of all of the research and looking at the science, the scientific and clinical benefits, proven benefits of meditation. We know meditation. We know meals and movement. Meditation, meals, and movement gives us a shot at biological wealth. So when I say meditation, I'm referring to meditation and mindfulness. The regular practice of meditation and mindfulness is a proven practice for reducing and also eliminating stress, which is really emotional responses. And metabolic health can be accomplished through meditation and mindfulness. Metabolic health can be accomplished through meals. Your meals, what type of meals? Nutrient and fiber dense plant-based meals. And of course, movement. I'm referring to that practice of creating physiological stress, or stress in your physiology, more popularly known as exercise. So through movement, we can influence and impact metabolic health. So meditation, meals, and movement. This is what gives you control. This is how you have a shot at biological wealth. So let me check in with my guests just to see if we still have an interview, because that was really the purpose of me going on live. I wanted to share a message. And the title of tonight's talk is Biological Wealth for Black Men. Biological wealth for Black men. Let me see if I can bring that up on screen. Biological wealth for Black men. And you heard me mention earlier that there is a 21-day plant-based weight loss challenge called the PlantBased Loser Challenge. So if you're pursuing weight loss and metabolic health in 2020, which I would urge that you do, especially if you're overweight, especially if you're dealing with abdominal obesity, which is excess abdominal belly fat, I would urge you to participate, to enroll in the Plant-Based Loser Challenge. So if you want to learn more about The challenge, let me bring some information up, and you can look at the bottom of the screen. That's where you can go to learn more about the Plant-Based Loser Challenge. It's a 21-day plant-based weight loss challenge, and since March, I've been helping Americans in 8 to 9 different states end abdominal obesity and reclaim their metabolic health. The typical weight loss is anywhere from 15 pounds at the lowest, 15 to 26-pound weight loss in 21 days. It is not a fitness or exercise challenge. Because of my background, all the research, all of my experiences in helping people transform using personal training and nutrition performance coaching, I've formulated a proprietary plant-based metabolic weight loss plan. So any of you who are out there who've been struggling with weight loss, you haven't been able to lose weight on your own, you're dealing with food addiction. Your body's not the problem. Weight loss is actually easy for your biology. That's right, I said it. Weight loss is easy for your biology, for your body. Your body knows how to lose weight. Your body knows how to burn fat. And so if you've been struggling, if you've been working out, but you haven't been seeing the weight loss results, I can easily help you lose weight. Because it's simple, very, very simple. Metabolically, if you're in a state of what I refer to as waiting, which is a metabolic state of progressive weight gain, most people who are overweight, you don't sustain or maintain the same weight. You're gonna, as long as you sustain your food addiction, you will progressively gain more and more weight. Your body fat percentage will increase more and more over time, whether it's quarterly and annually. So anybody that's, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 pounds or more overweight, you didn't put that weight on in 1 year. You didn't put it on in 1 quarter. So waiting is it's a metabolic state of progressive weight gain. So when I say waiting, I mean WEIGHTING. So I hope I have an interview tonight. I know it was scheduled, and Carlos just told me he's at work. So hopefully he's able to break away. But tonight's topic is biological wealth for Black men in 2020. Biological wealth for Black men in 2020. What's biological wealth? What is biological wealth? Biological wealth fundamentally or essentially is when you think about the biology that you have. And I tend not to use the word body anymore because given our programming in this society, if I use the word body, most of us have been programmed to think about the neck down. So I say biology because biology, now you're dealing with the entire system, right? The brain, everything on, your whole physical organism. So I say biology. So what is biological wealth? What's biological poverty? Simple. Biological wealth is basically a biological state in which you are metabolically healthy. There's no issues. There's no elevated blood sugar. There's no elevated blood pressure. There's no abnormal cholesterol levels and high triglyceride levels, like high LDL and lowered HDL. Your health numbers are fine because you're metabolically healthy and you don't have excess abdominal belly fat and you're not dealing with low energy and feeling lethargic and feeling moody. Biological poverty, low energy, excess abdominal belly fat, excess fat throughout your body, moodiness, the inability to do with your body physically in terms of fitness performance, the things you did as a kid. You're talking about biological poverty. But one of the primary indicators is low energy. If you don't have enough energy, you're dealing with biological poverty. Your biology is in a state of poverty, lack of energy, lack of light. Your intracellular environment has been compromised primarily by you being a food slave, by you being a food addict, by you eating more highly processed foods and animal products and very little to no plant-based foods. I've been coaching and training for 21 years, and I've trained and helped so many people. And I've had people tell me they don't drink water. I had one young lady the other day, she says she don't eat any vegetables. So no wonder cancer is prevalent in America. If you have a body, because obviously you have a body, you couldn't be watching this broadcast. You have a body. Your biology is not intrinsically flawed. Within your cells, there's potential for health. Within your cells, there is light. The mitochondria is part structure, part photon. So one of the first indications that you're in biological poverty is low energy. Your biology is producing low amounts of electricity or light, which physicists refer to as biophotons, the light waves being generated or produced by the human body. First indication that you're in biological poverty. See, everything runs off light. So when the light goes down, your energy or light goes down, you store fat, you'll gain weight, to make you moody and cause other problems. Biological wealth, you have high energy, your body produces high amounts of light, biophotons. You're not dealing with any metabolic syndrome conditions. You're not dealing with excess abdominal belly fat. You're not dealing with elevated blood serum triglycerides and abnormal cholesterol levels. You're not dealing with elevated blood pressure. You're not dealing with elevated blood glucose levels because of insulin resistance. So biological wealth, you're in a state of biological wealth because you have high energy. You have adequate to optimal energy, meaning your metabolism is performing or functioning at such a level where it's producing adequate to high amounts of light and electricity. And you don't have any diagnosed health conditions. You're not dealing with different symptoms of disease. You feel pretty happy. Your body is functioning well. You can do a lot with your body, whether it's walk fast or jog or run. You secure good rest, because sleep plays a major role. In fact, I feel tired. I actually did not get enough sleep last night, but I tend to go to bed at a pretty decent time. Biological wealth for Black men in 2020. Biological wealth for Black men in 2020. How many of you know someone? And the Plant-Based Loser Challenge isn't just for Black men. It's not even just for Black folks. I've got as many Caucasian women and men as I do Black men and Black women within the Plant-Based Loser community, because the Plant-Based Loser brand is for everybody. It's for all Americans. And not just Americans. It's focused on Americans because that's where I was born. I was born in America. And I understand the society in which I've been socialized and programmed, and I've had the opportunity to coach and train people here in America. So the Plant-Based Loser is really focused on helping Americans get free from food slavery, because all Americans are dealing with, for the most part, most Americans are dealing with food addiction. Food addiction is widespread. And what I refer to as food slavery is a mass food addiction, widespread economic and nutritional consumption of highly processed foods that are hyper palatable, addictive, and responsible for our epidemics of obesity, overweight, and other chronic diseases like heart disease and strokes and cancer as well. So that's what food slavery is. Does big food have a hand in it? Of course, because big food, they are the ones that manufacture sugary, salty, and fatty processed foods to ensure that the American public comes back for more. And they understand because they have food chemists, and these food chemists engineer processed foods to ensure that you come back for more. And they combine the sweet spot, or the bliss point, rather, excuse me, it's referred to as the bliss point. They know how to use a combination of sugar, salt, and fat to release dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter released by the brain. It's a pleasure neurotransmitter. And it's in all forms of addiction. Where you see addiction, whether it's food addiction or drug addiction, dopamine is involved. So food chemists that are a part of most food companies, they know how to ensure you come back for more. So food slavery is what's behind our epidemics of obesity, overweight, and chronic disease. It's food slavery. Our biology is fine. Our biology is fine, but food slavery, mass food addiction is the real culprit, the real problem. The number one obstacle that's preventing and stopping most Americans from starting their weight loss journey. So, if you have a comment, because it looks like I'm going to wrap up my broadcast because I don't think Carlos is able to get away. He's at work. He did commit to the interview, but he's at work, so I understand. We'll have to let me see. If you're live hanging out with me, say hi. If you're I'll see it in the private chat, or I'll see it in the comments rather. Let's see. Okay. So, folks, I'm going to wrap up this broadcast because I want to actually call my son before he goes to bed. And it doesn't look like I'm going to have an interview, but that's okay. I can reschedule it, no problem. So we'll have to do like part 2 of biological wealth for Black men in 2020. And that's perfectly fine because this topic is timely, and biological wealth is relevant to all Americans. I mean, truth be told, we live in a culture where wealth is focused upon and praised, where success is focused upon and praised. Health success isn't a high priority by most people. And biological wealth is something we need so much because so many people are suffering from diet-induced chronic illnesses, all preventable and all reversible on a nutrient and fiber-dense plant-based eating style. So if you're up for a 21-day plant-based weight loss challenge because you want to get free from food slavery, leave me a comment. Let me know you're interested. But you got to be serious. I don't waste time with folks who are not serious about achieving health success. I don't waste time with people who are not serious about achieving metabolic health. So if you're serious and you have not started your weight loss journey in 2020, I'll be glad to support you and help you. You can become a plant-based loser and you can succeed at weight loss because weight loss is easy for your biology, and you can benefit like so many members of the community. We have over 70 members of the community, and there are over 60 weight loss testimonials on Instagram. You can easily lose weight. It's easy. And one of the most beautiful things about being on my plant-based metabolic weight loss plan is that you get free from food addiction. You literally get free from addictive cravings for sugary, salty, and fatty processed foods, because food addiction or food slavery is the number one obstacle that's stopping you from starting your weight loss journey. So if you want help, be glad to assist you. And right now, I'm offering a lifetime membership in the Plant-Based Loser community. So let's see if I can get Carl on. Looks like he's, hold up for a second, pardon me. And if not, I'm going to end this broadcast. But share this with others. It's important for all Americans. It's really important for men of color to concentrate on metabolic health. Achieving metabolic health is so important. So many African American men are dying or being debilitated from strokes. You know, it makes me think of the late John Singleton. It makes me think of Fife Dog, who was living with type 2 diabetes. And I know his death was, premature death was related to metabolic syndrome conditions. Because if you have type 2 diabetes, that's a metabolic syndrome condition. So we've got to turn the table. And the answer and the solution is a plant-based eating style, plant-based meals. If you want metabolic health, you got to consume plant-based meals at a high level. There's no way around it. Black, white, Chinese, it doesn't matter. If you live in America, you're exposed to highly processed foods and lots of animal products everywhere you turn. But there's a movement happening right now where plant-based and vegan meals are more accessible. And I have been on a plant-based and vegan diet for 31 years. Now, I know you're probably asking, some of you may be asking, well, isn't a plant-based diet a vegan diet? And is a vegan diet a plant-based diet? Because I'm a nutrition performance coach and researcher, I tend to make a distinction, delineate the difference. If you go into a grocery store, everything that's labeled vegan is highly processed, whether it's vegan cheese or vegan ice cream or vegan burgers, vegan pizza. And then there's produce, you know, plant-based foods, which are unprocessed and natural. Nutrient and fiber dense plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, which are beans, lentils, and peas, and whole grains. So there's 5 plant-based food groups. So I make a distinction between plant-based foods, which are unprocessed and natural, which actually a well-balanced fiber and nutrient-dense plant-based diet can prevent, arrest, and reverse chronic diseases, heart disease. It can prevent strokes. It can cancer-proof the body. It can lengthen your lifespan. But if you're on a vegan diet, because vegan diet, I'm speaking of that which is labeled vegan, packaged foods that are highly processed that are labeled vegan, you can be obese. You can have type 2 diabetes. You can have elevated cholesterol levels. So I've been on a plant-based and vegan diet. I eat mostly plant-based foods and I make some allowances for vegan stuff. So in that order. So I wanted to share some insight on the difference. So it's important to go plant-based for metabolic health. And it doesn't look like I'm going to have an interview tonight. So I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions about the Plant-Based Loser Challenge, reach out to me. I look forward to working with you. For those of you who are pursuing weight loss and the achievement of metabolic health, I can help you. And I'm going to say good night. Thanks for watching. And things are about to pick up. I'm expecting to go on live a lot more often. But thank you, Facebook family. Thank you, YouTube family. Thanks for tuning in. Share this so that it will inspire and uplift someone that you know and care about who's pursuing weight loss and metabolic health in 2020. It's time to get free from food slavery, folks. Your health success is literally in your hands. So it's time for you to eat more plant-based meals. And if you want help with that, I can help you. Follow me on Instagram under PlantBased Loser Challenge. PlantBased Loser Challenge on Instagram. That's PlantBased Loser Challenge, no spaces. And of course, if you're interested in enrolling in the Plant-Based Loser Challenge, go to, as you can see at the bottom, you got the moving content at the bottom, plantbasedloserchallenge.com. I will be conducting a series of interviews pretty much throughout the year. And again, share this with somebody you love and care about who deserves a shot at health success, which is metabolic health. And remember, metabolic health is biological wealth. Have a good night.